What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the Hoof Podcast Week 8 preview as we look ahead to all the games going on Week 8 of the NFL. Good call on switching us back up.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. I feel weird on that side. I couldn't do it.
Anybody watching us, anybody who has watched us knows we have our places.
Yeah.
I'm on the left, you're on the right. Just
Yeah,
came up
it's
the
just how it
opposite.
is.
So that was messing everybody up. But here we are, man. Week 8.
8 weeks.
It used to be the halfway point of the season, but I think that's now middle of the week, right? So it's like,
yeah, I know, right?
9,
With the
right?
extra, weird. And there's only 2 teams on bye this week, which is weird, right? There's 4-4 and then 2. It's
Right.
like, okay, NFL, why not do 3-3 or 4-4-4 and not have an extra week? But I guess that's how they plan to do it. Spread it out that way.
Yeah, schedule people. They need a little work in the offseason, I think. The primetime games have been bad. The best primetime game we've had, let's think about this for a minute. Maybe the Cardinals-Saints game, 2 pick sixes before the half.
Right. That would have
a lot of action in that game, but really, I enjoyed watching the Monday night game with the Bears and the Patriots.
I mean, the season opener was on Thursday night, and the Bills-Rams. I mean, that was must-see TV. But
that's usually
it didn't turn out to be a great football game,
right?
For us,
because we're since then it hasn't been great. But that was, I mean, the kickoff game doesn't really count because no matter who plays,
agreed.
You're hyped.
And it's always the Super Bowl winner. And
you could put the worst teams in the league out there, and we'd still have a great time watching that.
Yeah, that's true. 3-0. Woo! Football's back. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, made it 8 weeks. You're still positive on your picks.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, we're still at 65% on my or 67%, sorry, on the pick six, and 55% overall on the entire season, which is insane to have that high of a percentage over. I'm still, in the top. I think it's 25 now on Tally site, which is incredible still to be that high during this lug of a season, and it feels good. I'm feeling good about the picks. Feeling like it's going to be another good week this week. Ready to talk football, and our Bills are back this week, so I'm a little more energized come Sunday. Granted, it's a Sunday night,
right? Yep, gotta take Mondays off. Yep,
all night long to watch it. Yeah, that's right. Clock out on Monday.
Yeah.
Holiday, national holiday, day after Sunday night game.
All right, we do have a game here in an hour. So
that's right.
And this for the primetime games, this one actually looks good on paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the Buccaneers take on the Ravens. Graphic here, and it's in Tampa Bay. So I got to ask you a question. If you're Tom Brady at this point, do you choose supermodel wife or do you choose mediocre football team?
You go full Antonio Brown. That's what I say. Right. You take your shirt off, you get the crowd riled up, you run out, and you just say, I'm done. That's it. Never come back. Never do another interview, never do anything. Fall off the face of the earth. And that's what I think. That's my ideal scenario for Tom Brady. Just go, disappear, and never come back. Never show your face in public again. And,
this is kind of what
enjoy the rest of your life. Really, for him, I'm just saying,
right.
Go enjoy the rest of your life, right? Well, and for the rest of us, God, I'm sick of you for 25 years of my life.
I don't feel bad for Tom Brady at all because he does have a 10-year contract with Fox. I think it was $300 million.
Yeah,
300 million there. So
to be a commentator,
right?
Yeah,
So I don't feel bad for the guy at all because supermodel wife, 10-year career for another $300 million in the bank in the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but you still feel bad about his football career because the guy had so many opportunities to go out on top and literally be known as the best ever, and there would be no debate. For years, though. There would be no debate.
Well, it's not just in football, but in most sports and really probably anything else, life in general. When you're on top and you are the best, it's too difficult to say I'm done because you're in a position where nobody's better than you, right? So you're like, okay, yeah, I'm the best, and I can continue to be the best no matter what, until you're in Tom Brady's situation. And I've said this for years. He's going to have to suck, either him personally or the team sucks. And then they're like, you know what, we're not here for an aging quarterback, we need a young guy, right? And that was going to be how he exited. He was never going to do it under his own free will. It was going to be under the situation he found himself in and the team's decision to remove him as quarterback.
And
And he
honestly,
did that last year,
yeah.
but he wasn't on top. They didn't win at all.
Right.
And
It's really kind of amazing what he's accomplished, too, at this point. Like, no injuries, right? Somebody who's 45, 44 years old playing in the NFL, taking the hits that he takes. He's actually been very good at, staying healthy and being available on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So
he had two seasons, right, where he missed like stretches of 8 weeks. The Matt Castle season. And who was the other quarterback?
That was years ago now. That was over 10 years ago.
Exactly. Way, way long ago. But this old, you mean? Yeah, and to not be injured.
Because the first thing you think is, he's going to play till he's 45. He's gonna get hurt.
Till he's 50.
We saw this happen with a lot of guys, like, most recently probably Matt Ryan, right?
Yeah,
and the shoulder's just not there. The shoulder falls apart. Can't throw, like you need to in the league. Peyton Manning's the most famous for that. Just literally could not throw it.
And you get replaced by a rookie, right? That's usually
right. Exactly. And it helps when that rookie's proven. When it's unproven rookie, then it's bad, But anyway, Tom Brady, the U.S. Weekly reports Tom Brady has an ultimatum from his wife: either leave football to spend time with family, or she is gone for good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tough one there, but you got to think that's weighing on him. You got to think that's going to have an impact on this game. Look, anybody who has problems at home, they're not going to perform well at their job or as good as they could. Right. And that's just
exactly
the matter. Right. It's just,
and I do kind of
those
feel
laws of nature,
And it's I do kind of feel bad for him in a way. It's not his fault. The team is underperforming. Everybody's not doing well, and he's just getting frustrated and more frustrated. Sure, certainly he's not playing the best we've seen him, but he's not playing at a level where he's the problem and why the team is struggling, right? They can't run the ball for crap. Their offensive line is so porous, and he needs that at this stage of his career. And really throughout his career, he's always needed a good offensive line, even though he gets the ball out quick. His receivers are healthy, but he can't seem to get the connection going with them. The defense is falling apart. I mean, it's tough to be in the situation he's in right now. And I still attest to, right? I will start by saying I think they're going to lose this game. I'm picking Baltimore, right? But I still think that with a 3-5 current record, if they lose today, they're still in the running to make the playoffs in the NFC. And that's all they need to do.
The difference would be,
who cares? I don't care if they finish 7-10. If they make the playoffs, that's all that matters. And their roster is good enough to beat anybody else in the NFC playoffs.
I think they're
maybe not the
Eagles.
Eagles.
It's an uphill battle, I think, because their schedule gets tough here. Ravens tonight, 10 days. You got the Rams, who are also going to be contending for their division lead. We'll see how that game goes this weekend versus the San Francisco 49ers for them. Seattle, who's been playing well on offense, and I think that's an overseas game. I'm not sure if it's Germany or London. 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, is that the Germany game? It might be. I don't know.
We haven't seen that one yet. I think that might be Germany. And then the Cleveland game, the 27th, where Deshaun Watson comes back. There might be a bye week in there. But the next opponents are tough, right? Those are you can say what you want about Cleveland. Yeah, they're 2-5. Their offense is trash, mostly the quarterback. But they're still a tough team. Like they're deep, right? Yes, it's a tough matchup, and it's in Cleveland. With Deshaun Watson back, might have some energy. Don't know. But that's of the next 4 games, maybe Cleveland's the easiest.
True. But, I mean, before the season, most of those were predicted wins, right? It wasn't like those were buzzsaw games for them. It was, granted, they're not where they wanted to be at this point in the season for sure. And I think it's, the first time in this late in the season that Tom Brady is under 500.
Right.
So, I mean, that's crazy.
And the point is, though, you get yourself in a position, if you don't win the next 4 games or 3 of the 4 or whatever,
then it's going to be.
Then you're going to have to win the division to make the playoffs,
which might be with a 7-10 record.
You put yourself in that position, right? And you have Atlanta the last week of the year.
They're playing well, yeah,
in Atlanta, and so really the opportunity is there for Atlanta, and I think it'd be tough for the Bucs to make the wild card. You know,
I do too. I just think that
tougher.
like you said, with the schedule they have, but they can win the division, and I
Right.
still think, that's the path they probably do need to take, as you said. Given that there's other teams that are competing well. I mean, look at the NFC East, right? 3 of those teams could make it at this point, and then you've got only one other spot basically available in the rest of the NFC, and the NFC West is always tight. So and if you're competing to win your division with a losing record, there's not going to be any other playoff team in that division. So it's the Bucs in Atlanta duking it out to see, who survives. And that's why I still give Tampa Bay hope, because they have the better roster. They have the better players. They have
Yeah,
the
that's
better
true.
momentum. I mean, not right now they don't, but
You think they do, but they're really not good at running the football.
Ooh, excuse me.
Blowing up over there.
Yeah, right? Live show. No editing out the sneezes, right?
Yeah. Because less work. The Buccaneers are 31st in the league in rushing yards. They only have 2 rushing touchdowns on the season, and they have not had a bye week. The team after them is the Rams, who had a bye week. So really, you could argue they're the worst team in rushing in the whole league.
Yes, and it showed this season, right? And they have the young running back White, who's supposed to be getting more involved, but still hasn't been able to turn it on much. And I don't know if Fournette just has lost his gas, or again, that offensive line has not been playing well. And in general, offensive lines do gel more as the season goes along and kind of improve as the season goes along. We've seen that with, teams like the Bengals, for example, this season alone. But they have not showed any signs of improvement, right? They hit rock bottom last week when they lost to Carolina after they traded away their franchise players. So, I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that. But I still think they have a chance. I think this would be a bigger loss for Baltimore than it would be for Tampa Bay, given the situation each of them finds themselves in.
Interesting. Right. Well, there's capable teams in the AFC North, so you start getting behind, like Cincinnati's hot right now. There could start to be a gap there, right? So you're right. This is a bigger game for, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I think they have some momentum too, right? This team could easily be undefeated if they didn't blow fourth quarter leads.
Oh my gosh, yeah, right? Every single game they've blown a lead. It's
right.
not.
So they're, minus that, they'd be talked about as one of the better teams in the whole league. They blew some big leads though, so they're not in that conversation.
10 points and bigger.
That's the NFL though. It's like one quarter of football changes everything.
Right. And this Tampa Bay team still has that capacity on offense right now, right? They're still going and still have all the names that they have before, and they could score points on Baltimore. So this isn't a done deal, easy, pick 'em. Momentum wise, it is, right? Tampa Bay just hasn't showed anything. So I don't think if you're a gambler or you're a football fan in general, there's no amount of faith, unless you're a Bucs fan, that you could say, I think the Bucs are going to win this game, really, right? You have nothing to go on other than, throwing a dart at the wall, I guess, but no football knowledge to support that Tampa Bay is going to do something in this game.
Right. I mean, the Ravens are scoring a lot more points, 181 points on the season. The Buccaneers are 124, if that means anything. You want to go yards or points allowed. Tampa Bay 124 points allowed. The Ravens 161 points allowed. Really, they gave a lot of points to Miami in that one game.
Yeah. And I mean, the Bucs defensively were playing well. Early on in the season, it was, we don't have our tandem wide receivers, and another guy got hurt, and the offensive line struggles. Then it was, now they're back. They've got the wide receivers back, and they're going to be healthy and playing and clicking again with Tom Brady. And they've kind of self-destructed both on offense and defense. The defense now dealing with injuries. And I don't know if this was something you were going to talk about with this game, but a number of key guys out for Tampa Bay this week. And I mean, obviously Baltimore has injuries as well. Right. But I think when you're a struggling team and you're losing your best players that's going to make it even harder, right?
Right. Well,
Baltimore's
I
been
think
up and down because of injuries, and their defense has really struggled because of injuries. But Tampa is just struggling in general and now losing guys. So that's usually a trend in the wrong direction.
right. Marlon Humphrey out for the Ravens. Gus Edwards, who is their backup because J.K.
Right.
Dobbins
J.K.
is out
Dobbins is
again.
out.
Marcus Peters it says full participation in practice this week for him. Who else is on the injury list here? Mark Andrews on the injury list did not
Yes.
participate in practice. Do you have a list that says
I
they're
do. I'm
active or
looking
not?
right now.
Okay.
Yep, I'm looking right now. Yep, at the official report here on
Okay.
according to ESPN anyway.
Mine are all
So
questionable.
Ben Cleveland, the guard, he's out for Baltimore. Calais Campbell is out for Baltimore. Mike Davis, the running back, out for Baltimore. Tylan Wallace, the wide receiver, out for Baltimore. And their cornerback, Amour Davis, is out as well. For Tampa Bay, you've got the guard, Godecki. I forget how to say. Is that how you say it? I think that's how you say it. Russell
It looks
Gage
right,
is out.
Godecki.
Yep. Hicks is out. Their defensive tackle, right? Their wide receiver. Sean Murphy Bunting, the cornerback, is out. Antoine Winfield Jr. is out, one of their biggest playmakers on defense, right? So again, that's what I'm talking about when I say the defense was already not playing well enough. When you can't stop Carolina, you've got real struggles on your team, right? And now they're losing more of their better players.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely hurts. I mean, this point in the season, every team has injuries. Carlton Davis is probably the biggest one for Tampa Bay. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
Sean Murphy
again,
Bunting, another one.
yeah, their cornerback. I mean, it's just
Those are key pieces, I think.
yes, and Antoine
Oh,
Winfield.
yeah,
I mean, that's
yep. So the secondary is banged up for the Bucks.
yes,
Defensive line.
on top of not playing well
Right.
on
It just
defense
hurts.
or offense. Yeah, so it's
And I think
not looking great for
Baltimore's
them.
passing game's improved, right? So that could be a factor for sure. But about the Ravens though, what's the key position groups that are going to be beat up here? Is it defensive end, Calais Campbell?
Let's go back up. Let me go back up to Baltimore's official full now. So I gave you some of the key names. I can give you more. Let's take a look. So yeah, I mean, Wallace, we know they don't really use the wide receivers anyway. The big one, I think, is Calais Campbell, obviously, is a playmaker for them on defense. Listed as out is David Ajabo. Yeah, so it's tough to say. They've had injuries throughout the year, really on defense. And most of their guys who are injured are on injured reserve, so they've been out for a while. Kyle Fuller way before the season, right, and a bunch of their linebackers. So it looks more like the defense in general has holes at every level. I would say, right, defensive line, linebacker, backfield. You're damaged, but not glaring hole, I would say. Teams have been able to score points on Baltimore for a reason, and that's why. They have holes, pieces missing at every level of the defense. Whereas Tampa Bay now, as I keep harping on, seems to have, struggled, and now taking away their best pieces doesn't seem like that is a place where all of a sudden they're going to improve. I think if Tampa Bay wins, it's going to have to be that offense looking
Right.
more like it did 2 years ago with Tom Brady when they won the Super Bowl, right? And really electric again in the pass game. And Baltimore's defense in general is good, right? Historically, not necessarily this season.
Yeah.
But
Baltimore giving
so
up
it's
6 most passing yards so far this season.
But where is Tom Brady on the passing yards list? He's like the worst, one of the worst in the NFL.
Oh, that's a different list. Let me check it out.
Yeah, because that's the stat that I think matters.
Well, they can't rush. That stat that the Bucks are the worst team in the league in rushing. That one screams out to me. But let's check passing. Nobody else has played, right? So I think it's just Tom Brady. 6 overall, 6 in the league. They're behind Buffalo.
Right. So that's.
But their touchdowns drop some weight on the list. They only have 8 touchdowns on the season. That's 17th for passing.
And they have not had a bye, keep in mind, right? So that is also, it screws up all those kind of ranking stats, but they're higher than I thought for yardage, passing yardage. But there were a few games there where it was, not being able to punch it in.
That's the thing, though, is they're getting a lot of yardage, but then they're 26th in the league in points per game at 17.7.
So that really tells you that they're not good at finishing.
They're tied with Carolina and Houston for points per game. Again,
and that was
no bye week for that. And then let's check their scoring percentage, which is a stat that I like. There's 21st in scoring percentage. So the opportunities you're given, how often does it turn into a score? 33.8% of the time. Just after Miami, just ahead of Arizona.
Yes. Yeah,
so it's just not turned into points right now for them.
And nothing, again, in our conversation so far, nothing is giving me confidence in the Bucs. They still can win the game, right? They could still play on offense and find their momentum. They're at home. Maybe that'll help their rhythm.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's got to start now, right? If they're seriously a contender, I picked them to win a Super Bowl. So I mean, it's got to start now.
Really?
I did. Well, you look around the NFC.
You and a lot of other
preseason, and I think they maybe had the best odds. But you trust Tom Brady, and really, I trust the receiving core. I mean, they're stacked. Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, right?
Eric, we could not be
Mike
more
Evans.
Polarized from each other at this point, right? You picked the team that is the most disappointing, and I've picked the two teams who nobody picked except me, right? and now they're the two best teams in the NFC. So I mean, it's
a long season though, but for Tampa, it's got to start right now.
It does.
But I definitely trust Baltimore way more than Tampa right now. Baltimore 13th in the league in passing touchdowns with 13. Their passing yards. Let's check.
The passing yards. I mean, we know rushing is really
25th. They're 25th in passing yards. They're a run first team, right?
Yeah. Right.
Rushing yards, they're 5th overall. They have 6 rushing touchdowns on the season. That's 15th, tied with Dallas. And their scoring percentage is 44%. It's 10% higher than Tampa. Again, historical data means nothing, but they're getting points out of drives, which tells you their offense is moving the football.
Yeah. And this is exactly why this is the most entertaining Thursday night game or, most entertaining primetime game in a while here, because both these teams have a lot to fight for. Both have really good rosters, really good names, and they're both underperforming right now. They need this win. They need to perform well, which is part of the reason why I'm predicting this to be a pretty high scoring affair, a good game where it ends up being, 28-24 Baltimore or, 31-27 Baltimore. I think Baltimore wins. So I'm taking them with the points in this game, and I'm taking the over 46 just because both teams are going to be playing for their lives, and both defenses give up points, right? We just talked about how Baltimore is giving up leads left and right and gives up a lot of points. But Tampa Bay hasn't been losing games for no reason, right? They've been giving up 20 plus as well.
Right. So I'm going Baltimore. I think there's urgency for Tampa, but Baltimore is just a better team. I think they're better on both sides of the ball. Like you said, Baltimore, they're feeling the urgency with Cincinnati now. If they lose this game, there's a gap there. They don't like that. So good matchup. We'll see if it turns out to be good football. We haven't seen good football on Thursday night in a while. And I'm going to take the over on 46 because I do feel both teams are feeling the pressure on offense, and they're both going to score a lot of points. So I like Baltimore. All right, let's get into your pick 6 on this week 8 of the NFL. Your most confident bets. Graphic here, that's 57%. I think that's probably changed.
Yeah, it's 67, dude. Don't underestimate me. That's my season percentage for all of my picks. My pick 6 percentage is 67%. Take that graphic down. You got to fix that. We got to fix that for sure. I'm much better than that 57, 67 now on the season for the pick 6, which is a phenomenal place to be. Obviously, we're doing a lot of winning, right? But we're still looking for that 6-0 week, and I'm hoping that's this week now. It should be this week, right? And starting with my number 6 pick, the New York Giants, +3. I mean, they're getting points in another game that I think that they could potentially win and lead and come back. They've been close in every game. They've been able to pull out the wins in close games. So the Giants getting points this week, I actually picked them to win the game. But I do think it could potentially be going back and forth, but I'll take the Giants with the points there. So that's why they're my number 6 bet of the week. And number 5, another one that you don't see me pick very often, the Washington Commanders getting points +3. They had the big win last week against Green Bay, and now they come in and they're playing the Colts, a team that's now starting a rookie quarterback and has basically punted the season, according to Eric anyway. And so that tells me, boom, they're getting points. Again, I expect them to win the game, and they're getting points. That's why they're my number 5 bet of the week. At number 4, guess who's back? Back again. The Vikings, right? The Vikings, after the bye week here, looking like one of the best teams in the NFC, behind maybe only the Eagles. And in a matchup with the Cardinals that I think is very favorable, although the Cardinals improved with DeAndre Hopkins back, we saw they still gave up a crap ton of points to a damaged New Orleans team, and they got 14 of those points on defense. So I really like Minnesota's here, -3.5. I think they win by 10 points against Carolina, or against the Cardinals coming off the bye. In my number 3 pick, we've got the Tennessee Titans -2.5 against Houston. Now that's, a team that I've been very high on, and I've said is going to be competitive in games and is going to be better than people thought. However, in this one, the Titans also coming off of, or no, are they coming off? No, they had a bye before against Indy, although it felt like a bye again. They're playing the Texans, and I think that they're just going to play the type of game that they have been all season, really, except for maybe the Bills game. They run the ball well. They control the clock. It's a close score, but they don't allow you to do what you do well, and that's how they're going to be favorited in this one. So -2.5, I expect them to win by a field goal. So that was my pick number 3. My number 2 pick of the week, again, people like to say, oh, you're a Bills fan, you're just being biased. The Buffalo Bills are the best team in football, and it's not even close. They have a matchup this week against the Green Bay Packers, who are one of the worst teams in football, and it's not even close, okay? They have Aaron Rodgers and nothing else, and that has not been a good formula for them this year. They've been lucky in 3 of the matchups to get those wins. They should be over on the season, and they're only getting worse. So the Bills, this is a situation the Bills coming off by, they should absolutely dominate that game. So give me the Bills -10, and we'll get more into that later, obviously. And my number 1 big bet of the week, fool me once, right? Last week, I was so angry because they lost the spread by 1 point, even though Miami won the game. It was -7. They won by 6. It cost me a lot on my parlays, but they're facing Detroit. I really like this matchup. I think Tua needs to get that offense scoring points, and this is the week to do it because we've seen the Detroit defense absolutely falter majorly, even in the games that they were competitive in, especially later on in the game. So give me Miami -3 as my big bet of the week. And I love these picks this week. I think this is the week we're going to go 6-0. Some shockers in here, some regulars in here. You got to mix it up a little bit, right? We got the regulars and we got the shockers.
Right. And yeah, your record on the season's been great. So yeah, definitely listen to what this man has to say with the pick 6. 4-2 last week. Still haven't had that undefeated week though. Still waiting on that one.
I know. Hoping it's this week. 6-0. I want to go perfect. Let's make it happen.
All right, so let's get into some of these games here, some of these matchups. Let me get my banner down. All right, so back to normal here. Your best bet of the week. Let's start there. Pick number 1, Miami -3.5 at Detroit. Miami's 4-3 on the season. Detroit 1-5. I feel like a lot of people were higher on Detroit.
I warned
Campbell, you thought he'd will a couple wins here, right? But this doesn't seem that doesn't seem to be the case. They can't play defense, period.
Yeah, and it's been showing really bad, right? They've been giving up monster numbers of points even in the games where they've scored 35 points, right? They just can't hold on. And their defense, they've been making plays on defense. They've got some, I love Aiden Hutchinson, right? I think he looks great out there, and he's only going to get better. But one man can't carry the defense. And when you have holes at every level, you just, especially, teams can run and pass against them. They don't have threats on the D line to hold the run. They don't have threats at cornerback position to hold them down, against the pass. And facing a team like Miami this week, Miami's just, although they didn't have the type of offensive game they wanted to last week, they started out hot. When you have Waddle, when you have Tyreek Hill, two of the best receivers in football, the best tandem for sure. I think they're going to have a field day against this Detroit Lions defense. And although DeAndre Swift is coming back for this game, which is exciting for the Lions, not sure how much he'll be played, but he is coming back. If he's healthy, he should play the whole game in my mind. But they're still missing some pieces, and Jared Goff at quarterback is their biggest Achilles heel on offense. So I don't like this matchup at all for Detroit. I think this is now another game where Miami has to come back and make a statement after now they're only one game over 500, right? Come back and prove you're one of the teams who's supposed to be competing in the AFC, or wants to be competing in the AFC at least.
Right. Detroit just, not getting it done this year, but also Miami has really fallen off. This explosive offense that really, they started out in the season, they were putting up 30 points a game. It seemed like, I understand quarterbacks get hurt and backups come in and your numbers will go down, but really Tua comes back and they really didn't score a lot of points in 3 quarters last week, right? A whole half. They didn't score any points.
Yeah.
They came out good. I think the game print, the script was good, right? You always hear like the first 50 plays are scripted. That was great from the game I watched last week with Miami. But after that, nothing happened the rest of the day. So you got to score points, And this Detroit team, although they haven't won a lot of games, although their quarterback's not performing, up to standard, defense certainly is not playing up to standard. Their head coach, he can motivate this team to get a win, to will a win, if you will. And I think that's dangerous. So if you're not prepared, if you come out and you don't score for 3 quarters, Detroit could pull this upset off, no doubt. Yeah, right now Miami's 19th in the league with 21 points a game. They were top 5. I think at one point they were 1 week 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think that could work in the other favor, though, too, right? Detroit is the type of team where they could have a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter and lose by 14 points, right? And lose by 14 points. So I wouldn't be surprised either way. I mean, that would, if Detroit has a lead going into the fourth quarter, obviously I'm going to be nervous because this is my big bet of the week. But I trust that Miami learned something from last week that they're going to apply to this week and say, okay, how do we make sure we keep this offense clicking and keep the boneheaded plays out? They do have a rookie head coach. He had to learn the hard way last week, I think, because there was some weird calls in there to go for it on 4th down and in the red zone, like weird stuff. Rookie mistake.
Right. Yeah, so we know you're going Miami. You going over or under on 51.5?
Well, I have to take the over here because Detroit has been scoring points, and I think Miami, again, is going to light it up against this very bad defense. So even though it's a high number at 51.5, I'm taking the over.
You're going over. I'm taking the under on 51.5, and I'm also going Miami -3.5. I just don't trust this Detroit team. I got to see 4 quarters from Jared Goff. I said this weeks ago. I'm not picking the Lions until I see 4 quarters from Jared Goff, and it's still, here we are, week 8. I haven't seen it, so I may never pick them again this season. Anyway, get into pick number 2 here. We have the Green Bay Packers +11.5 at Buffalo. Green Bay never won in Buffalo in their history, but 11.5, very, very favorable. I mean, I'm not betting against Josh Allen and the Bills. I'm just not doing it.
I always tell you.
But can you pick the Bills to win? I think they could be in danger here because Green Bay's desperate, right? I think that's going to be the mantra in the locker room. Hey, we got to win this game. No, everyone's counting us out. We're
Right.
better than that. They're going to
Sure.
give them their best shot. So the plus 11.5 has me undecided, right?
Yeah. I want to beat Mike Tyson in a boxing match. It's not happening. No matter how much I want it or how many people support me, I ain't punching out Mike Tyson. He's the boxer. I'm just me, right? That's how this matchup is, okay? Right? Green Bay, I cannot say it enough. Green Bay is inadequate in everything that they are trying to do. And they have no excuses for it. There's no, oh, it's the major injuries. Oh, we don't have this guy. Oh, this. It's just a matter of not putting the team together to win and not making the calls you need to win and not making the plays you need to win. Not on the fields, not on the sideline, not in space. This team is bad. They suck. They should have 0 wins on the season. 0. They have 3. They might end the season with 3. I don't care how good Aaron Rodgers is. He can't turn you and I into superstar wide receivers that are going to beat the Buffalo Bills.
I mean, I feel like he could turn me into a superstar, but you, no chance.
Just saying, thanks. Yeah. He might, because I might be catching the interceptions on him.
Yeah. If I didn't have that knee in high school, I would already.
I do think, this, in all seriousness, and that is my serious analysis. I've said it week after week after week. Green Bay is really bad team. They don't do anything well. They don't play defense well. They don't play offense well. They don't play special teams well. The problem with this being now we have to win and we're going to put it all out there and we're going to do everything we can is, even if you were at your best and you came in with the momentum and you were clicking on all cylinders, you're going against the best team in the NFL by far, coming off a bye week. So they've had weeks to prepare for you. And even if you were playing your best, you'd have no chance to win this game unless something crazy happened. I mean, obviously there's always a what if scenario, but basically 0 chance to win this game, even if you were playing well. Now that you're not, I don't care if this line was minus 17, I'd probably still take it. Take the Bills minus 17, because I think the Bills win by 20 plus points in this game. Josh Allen ain't going to be playing in the fourth quarter again. He's going to be the first to ever take off 3 quarters in the first 7 games that his team plays, right? Almost a full game off, because the defense, the Bills are probably going to score enough points. And Green Bay, even if they get on the board, let's give them 10 points, 15, 17. What do you want to give them? I don't care. Pick a number. The Bills are going to triple. The Bills are going to triple that. Give them 30. The Bills will score 90. Okay. I mean, it's just, the Bills are going to control the game, the tempo, the offense. They're clicking on with wide receivers. Off the bye week. It's going to be, even if the Bills come out stagnant, they've done that a few times, and then they've still been able to score 30 plus points.
I do think that the Bills are going to be hyped up. This is a Sunday night game in Buffalo.
Oh yeah,
the fans are going to be hyped
crowd.
Up. Right,
that's
Aaron
why
Rodgers is going to draw a crowd. Right, there's a lot of Packers fans out there, so there'll be a big away crowd.
The tickets you can't get in the stadium for less than $300.
It's going to be a big environment. Josh Allen really thrives in that type of environment.
Yeah.
Couple things that concern me. The Green Bay Packers defense is playing pretty well. I just think the issues with the team is they're not sustaining drives on offense. They've given up the third.
What games are you watching?
The Packers have given up the third least passing yards to a quarterback, given up the third least rushing yards to a quarterback. That's a factor in this game.
They haven't
playing Josh Allen. Hold on. But they're scoring.
I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish.
You just said you let me finish and you cut me off.
That was the Kanye. Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah. The Packers 31st in scoring percentage. When you don't sustain drives, your defense gets tired because they're on the field too much, and it just wears them down, right? And you lose games, you don't score points, right? So a little bit of that going on here with the stats and things. But Josh Allen, it doesn't matter. He's going to get his yards.
Passing. Yes, right.
Yeah. He's going to get his yards passing. He's going to get his yards rushing.
Yes.
Right? So really it comes down to, can Green Bay sustain some sort of offense, put together long drives? They're not going to be a flashy team. They're not going to go out and throw 70-yard bombs. They might try, but I just don't think they're going to be successful doing that.
And they have injuries.
Can they sustain drives? Can they get the running game going? And have these 70-yard, 80-yard drives, 10 plays. That's how you're going to win this game if you're Green Bay. That's their only chance.
Right. Allen Lazard. Right now, his best receiver, Cobb's on the IR. Allen Lazard is most likely out for this game, right? Doubtful, I think, is his current status. Sammy Watkins, questionable, likely to come back, but is he going to play? And even if he did, he hasn't been good for 3 years. All of a sudden, he's going to be your number one guy. Christian Watson, again, questionable on his path to return. And then it leaves you with Romeo Dubes, who I like, but the dude's a rookie. He can't be your number one guy. I mean, it doesn't add up well.
Sammy Watkins, baby, the return of Sammy Watkins
I know.
to Buffalo. He's gonna have a career day.
His first, right. We'll see. Yeah, and he's probably only going to be playing limited snaps. I'd guess. Trey White is not playing, but again, why would you? He doesn't need to play in this game for any reason. You're going against rookie receivers and young guys, and maybe Sammy Watkins with an AARP card and made of glass. So it's
all right. So you're taking the Bills. We know that. I'm going to take the Bills as well. I was hesitant on the plus 11.5, but at home, Josh Allen, primetime Sunday night football, crowd's going to be electric. I think that's when he plays his best football. And I'm taking the over on 47.5. I just think you are going to get a good effort from the Packers. They're going to score some sort of points, but the Bills could score on every drive, right? So pretty easy one there.
I'm actually taking the under because I believe the score will be like 38-6 or something like that. Buffalo. I mean, they're gonna wipe the floor with them. So I do think it's gonna be. I'm taking the under. This is always the same thing every week for me with the Bills, right? Are the Bills gonna score 48 points, or are they gonna, because if they do, then it's gonna go over, right? So then I would take the over. But I did take the under for this game.
Yep, Sundays are low stress for Bills fans, that's for sure. It's not a bad life.
Sunday night football, though, this is going to be an exciting one. And waiting all day, it's that anticipation that really gets you. But, the big story, I think, is the injuries for Green Bay, too. I can't remember. I thought they had some injuries on the defensive side as well coming into this game now. And that's what I am trying to find as I scroll through the injury report. Filler here. Eric, what do you got for me? Let me look up. Okay,
I don't know who's injured. I think the Bills are pretty healthy overall.
The Bills are coming off a bye week, so they're extremely healthy. I mean, Trey White, they're not activating him. That was the one big one that we talked about. Let's see. Rashawn Gary, limited participant, the linebacker. We already talked about their wide receivers.
Rashawn Gary's a hell of a player.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He's one of their best. Their other cornerback, Shamar John Charles. I don't even know who that is, but he's questionable. A guard is questionable, Jenkins, and Bakhtiari. I think that's, again, questionable, the offensive line. So there's some questions here about who's going to be missing time. It's still too early for that Sunday night game to know who's going to be out or not. But with the pieces that they could have out, and their backs against the wall, and it being in Buffalo on a Sunday night, and the fact that they've never won in Buffalo, I mean, is there anything going in the Green Bay's favor for this one, other than maybe they're playing with nothing to lose?
Right, chip on the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Everybody's counting us out. Well, yeah, for a reason. It's in the Bills' hands. It's definitely in the Bills' hands.
All right, let's get on to the next one here. Your third pick of the week. Tennessee -2.5 at the Houston Texans. Tennessee's been playing a lot better football as of late. So that's one thing to like for sure. Texans, they have a running game, right? There's trade rumors for Brandon Cooks out there. Really, the weakness of the Texans is probably their pass game, but their defense been better this year. And I think they definitely have a run game, and they definitely have a good running back in the rookie, Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, Pierce looks great out there. And certainly what they want in the situation that they are, a rebuilding team, right? You'd like to see more from Davis Mills, but they haven't really implemented much with him. Nico Collins has been hurt. Brevin Jordan's been hurt. Some of the young guys they brought in last year, and maybe that'll change the dynamics a little bit. But my analysis on this team has never changed. Houston, I mean, coming into the season, they've got a lot of young pieces. They're going to compete. They're going to play well. They've got a good defensive head coach. He's going to keep them playing well on defense, which will keep them close in games. But they just don't have enough star power to get them over the hump and get the W's, right? That tie against Indy doesn't look so hot right now because now we see that Indy just isn't the team we thought they were. And with a 1-4 record beyond that, you're still a stumbling team. And I did pick them to be under the win total this season. But they can be competitive, and they could always pull one out at any time against the teams that they're facing. And this is another one of those games where Tennessee can't come in and think they're we don't have to play our best game because we're playing Houston, because this is not the same team from the last few years. They do have playmakers. They do have the ability to score. Tennessee still has to play like they have the last couple of weeks, where it's been their type of game. Defense, running the ball, getting it done. Big news for this one is the injury to Ryan Tannehill,
right?
Which was a huge storyline, right? I actually think the offense will get better without Ryan Tannehill out there.
Maybe. I mean, Malik Willis is interesting.
Yes.
Guy's an athlete, no doubt about that, but a lot of question marks on, is he effective in the passing game? Because does he run too soon? Is he a one read only type guy? Yeah, he's got a lot of development to work on, right? But yeah, I think the way you develop quarterbacks, you put them out there. So, but they're winning games, so I don't think he comes in and takes the job over.
I don't know. Just don't think he's looks better with him in it.
He's not a first round guy, But again, if he sparks the team, I think they consider it. But I just don't see that happening. I think you got to ride out Ryan Tannehill because you're winning, right? You're the team to beat in the AFC South. You're going to get in the playoffs. So you just got to keep doing what you're doing at this point.
Exactly.
But currently, Tennessee dead last in offensive yards. They did have a bye week. However, the last 4 of 5 teams had a bye week. The only team in there that didn't have a bye week that's in this list is Carolina. So probably Carolina's the worst team, but Tennessee, over 100 yards less than the other teams. They're way at the bottom here. Concerning?
Certainly, yes. I mean, but if you're Tennessee, say in the preseason, right? You're Tennessee and you're coming in and you're saying, how are we going to win games? We're going to pound the rock with Derrick Henry, and we're going to hold teams to a low number of points. It doesn't matter if we average 17 points on the year, as long as we don't give up. Our average giving up is 15 points, right? Then you win, right? So I think that's an okay game plan for the team that they have. They don't have a lot of weapons on offense past Derrick Henry, right? There's nobody that you are threatened by really in that pass game, and they are dealing with a number of injuries as well. Treylon Burks, a big one for them, the rookie who was going to be their number 1 basically this year. And I think from that standpoint, you're built upon the rock, and it's working for you, and you're built to play good defense, and it's working for you. And this is a type of opponent where both of those things should be effective still. And so you don't change the game plan. It doesn't matter if they only score, less than 20 points. They should be able to win.
Yeah, they're just one thing to note before we move on to the next one. Tennessee is the highest percentage in the red zone, 80% on the season.
I'm taking the over in this one. I don't know if I said that. I'm taking Tennessee, obviously, but I'm taking the over. Yeah.
Let's see what I took here. Yep, Tennessee, and I took the over as well.
It's a low total for the over. So, I mean, if it's 21-20
I think
or something like that.
21-21 would do it, right? Yep, so I like that one because it is a divisional matchup, right? All right, let's move on to the next one here. Spent a little too much time on that. Arizona plus 3.5 at your Super Bowl favorite in the NFC, the Minnesota Vikings. Also why you pick them every single week. But hey, what works, works.
They've been underestimated. You keep underestimating this team. Coming off a bye week, right? They're coming off a bye week. They're going to be more prepared for Arizona than any team they've played so far this season. And their pieces are healed up, right? So they were dinged up a little on offense and on defense. And now those guys have had time to rest. They're going to play in this game, most of them. And I think that combined with the fact, so if they were playing anybody, that would be the case, right? All those things. The problem is the other side is the Arizona Cardinals, a team whose 3-4 record is not indicative of how bad they've been this season. Again, they didn't click without DeAndre Hopkins. Last week they had him. They scored a lot of points. They gave up more points, but then they scored really. But two touchdowns came on their defense, which means, yeah, okay, the defense must be playing some way to take the ball away, but Kirk Cousins is not going to do what Andy Dalton did in that game, right? And even though people give him a lot of crap too, they're going to still pound the rock with Dalvin Cook, right? They're going to do their style of game. They have their elite receivers that are playing well, that are clicking with Cousins right now. And Arizona hasn't shown me anything to give me confidence that they could hold up to that level of play, right? They're going to falter against that level of play. And they've showed that against better defenses, against better offenses. They just haven't been able to compete and put those pieces together. Even now, another week with DeAndre Hopkins, which of course he's a threat. He's going to do good things in this game. I expect him to get his, just like we always say with Cooper Kupp, 80 yards and a touchdown or whatever. But it's still not going to be enough to lift them above what this offense and defense of Minnesota can do.
Yeah, Minnesota's balanced. Justin Jefferson having a phenomenal year, and there's not much they're good at everything, right? There's not much that they're weak at.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that bodes, a team that's going to be hard to beat. They control games, right? There's been a few instances where they kind of fall behind in the fourth quarter, but they get it together and they put the drive together to win the game, right? We've seen that a couple times now. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to like about Minnesota. On the other hand, Arizona, I'm really not sure what their identity is. D-Hop back, I think, helps them a lot. His skill set is special. So I think they'll get a little momentum with that in the passing game. But outside of that, I'm not real sure what they're good at, right?
Agreed, yeah.
Right. But I think Arizona, we've been down on them the past few weeks. But if they can get some sort of momentum here, we could talk about them competing for
making the
division,
playoffs. Yeah.
Right? That win last week was huge for them. They've had 10 days of rest here. So I wouldn't just write them off, but I just think the matchup isn't great because Minnesota's playing, good in all phases. So I like Minnesota in this one. I took them. I'm also taking the over at 49 on this.
Yes, I'm on the over for this game as well. Both offenses should score. Like I said, I do expect the Cardinals to still be able to score points in this game, even though I don't think they're going to be as competitive as most think. Well, 3.5 indicates. They can't hang with Minnesota.
Until I see different, I agree. But anyways, Washington at the Sam Ehlinger-led Indianapolis Colts, ladies and gentlemen. What are we thinking about this? What do we think about Indianapolis here?
I'll tell you, my first reaction is Vegas thinks that Matt Ryan is the problem, right? Because Vegas is saying we're still calling it home field advantage and an even play here, right? +3 normally goes to the home team or whatever, -3 for the home team, +3 to the other team. That is the home field advantage. And so even though they switched to a rookie quarterback who we've never seen throw a ball, Vegas is saying, yeah, they're still the favorites to win this game, even though Washington's momentum and Washington's roster is better, right? If you look at the football here. So again, I think this is another miscalculation on Vegas's part for whatever reason. So that's the first thing that stands out.
It's Tyler Heineke versus Sam Ehlinger. So it's not Carson Wentz. I think if Carson Wentz was playing, it'd be different.
Yeah, but no, I think Heineke is the better option. Heineke has more of a track record in the NFL. We know what he can do with an offense. We know he doesn't necessarily...
An Ehlinger, right? Yeah. I see that. We don't really know what Ehlinger's going to be. Now, there's a couple... We've talked about this a little bit. I think the Colts are tanking it. But it could be that this kid's good in practice, right? He got better every year in Texas.
Yeah.
Right. His last year in Texas, he was really good. Gets drafted. And sometimes you have little gems in there, but maybe he's that type of guy. He's got the size, right? He's not like an undersized guy where you question that.
And he had the benefit of just sitting out an entire year, right?
Right. And learning. I think Matt Ryan's a great teacher. And I'm not sure what year he got drafted. I know he's not a rookie, right?
Last year he got drafted. He was a rookie last year. So he sat out all of
He had 1 year with Wentz to watch that go down, and he's had some time with Matt Ryan. So, but I think he's a little bit more mobile from what I saw in his college film. He's more mobile than both Matt Ryan
That
and
could be a
you
benefit.
could argue Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is pretty mobile, but maybe
Yeah.
they have a gem here. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, I think what I really think went down is the players in that locker room said it's time to move on from
Right.
Matt Ryan, and
But I've heard a lot of
we need
different
to get.
reports. I can't remember who reported it, but Matt Ryan's shoulder is shot.
Yeah,
Either that
maybe.
or-
I mean, there's something going on there for
Right.
sure.
You have to
Whether the
check
football
out.
people in Indy or the players themselves said something's not right, we need to move on. They knew this was the
Right.
right decision to make.
But
And
yeah, for me personally, I thought it was, and this may be just an emotional reaction, which is rare for me. But because they lost to Tennessee, the owner's like, tank the season. We can't do this every year. They lost to Tennessee twice already this year.
maybe,
That's
and if
my opinion.
at the very
But,
worst, you put out Sam Ellinger and he becomes,
right, you
the
got to see what you
next
got, and we're going to
great
draft a quarterback
quarterback.
next year. So we want the worst record we could have to get in a position to get a quarterback. Nobody
I
knows how
think
important that is more than Indianapolis, and they're one of the few teams that's pulled it off over the years, right?
before we talk
That
too much
strategy.
about the Colts, I think again what I started with is they're not giving Washington enough credit either, right? Washington has last week beat the Green Bay Packers, right? And they're playing well right now. They can run the ball, they have the pieces to pass the ball. Heineke has played with them before, so it's might be an upgrade over Wentz. I said that last week. And the defense is actually playing better. They do have the names. Again, we've mysteriously said this for years with Washington, where they've had years of drafting top defensive players in big positions and just not being able to put it together. Last week, they finally kind of did that and kind of slowly over the year, I'd say. So they're playing better as of late. So you have to give them credit, right? Their run game, pass game, defensively, they're better than the Colts right now. And that's why I'm taking them as in my pick 6.
Fair enough. I am taking the Commanders as well, taking the under on 39.5. I think it's a run team. This is going to be a running game.
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor versus the Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson combo, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I foresee.
I'm also going under. Yep.
Okay, last pick 6, last best bet of the week. You took the Giants here at Seattle, plus 3.5, or sorry, plus 3. Over under set at 44.5. Giants just keep winning.
They do. They do. These are two teams. So that Seattle's bested me twice in my pick 6 already because I've underestimated them, and they are playing well. They're playing way better than anybody thought. However, I think this matchup is bad for them because both of these teams are kind of similar. Very underestimated coming into the season. You're playing well. You're playing way better than anybody thought. You're playing in close games that you've been able to tip in your favor, doing everything the right way, not making critical mistakes. Something has to give for one of these teams in this game, right? They both can't come out of this game continuing to say that, whether it's a close game down to the wire and one of them makes a critical mistake that costs them or, vice versa. And because of that, just getting the points alone tips me in favor of the Giants. So if this were a 1-point game, I couldn't tell you who won it, right? But with giving me 3, that's why I'll take the Giants. I did pick the Giants to win. I do think that they will continue that momentum. And yeah, again, the points is just the cherry on top. There's a lot to say about the Giants and the opponents they've faced so far. And they certainly haven't faced wide receivers like Seattle has. And we'll see how that works out for them. And that challenge to that defense, Geno's running ability and ability to make plays this year has been incredible. So at least, in terms of expectation, not breaking any records by any means. So yeah, I still like the Giants in this one.
Okay, and I can see that Giants, the ball's falling their way. They're great in key moments, right? That's been huge for them. I'm actually taking Seattle, and this is why I'm not 67%, but I go against your best bets sometimes. But, I like Seattle at home, the 12th man, right? 425 game for the Giants, other side of the country. When does this luck run out?
Yeah, it has to. Well, for both of these teams, though,
it's just
right?
going to be tough, right? So I like Seattle. I think the Giants, they've blown out everyone's expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they get comfortable at some point? Remains to be seen, right? We'll see what's going on in the locker room. But Seattle, they're in the mix for the division, and it's a tight race. right? So this game is very important for them. You're going to get their best effort. So I take Seattle in a really close one. I just like them at home.
Yeah, have to say, Kenneth Walker, too, coming on. He looks like he
Right.
could be the rookie of the year right now.
True. Yeah. All right. So that's the pick 6 for the week. That's all the games for the best bets. Be sure to check our Twitter, check our social media to get all Anthony's picks every week. Nice little graphic for you so you can make your bets. Individual bets, right? Don't
And I do
parlay.
I do like the individual bets for sure. It's a little harder when teams start to go on bye week. There's less games to pick from. But this week I definitely really like those top 3, right? I that's my parlay this week. And I always go really the top 4. And then of course I'm going to do my 5-way parlay. I don't usually go above 5 and do my 6, but I certainly will place money on the Giants game, the Washington game individually as well, and kind of build up. Usually I go based on time slot as well. Okay, the 1:00 games, even if Miami and the Giants are the 1:00 games, I'm putting money on both of those, and then playing it out for the next set of games as well. So yes, parlay it up with these ones. This is going to be the week we go 6-0. So it's going to happen. We're going to get it. Money's coming in.
Yeah. That'll be a fun day for sure. All right, let's get on to the next one here. All right, who do we got next? We have the Russell Wilson-led Denver Broncos taking on Jacksonville. And we heard this airplane stuff, right? Working out while everyone's sleeping. Like, come on, man. What happened to Russell Wilson? I thought he was cool.
I don't know, man. Was he ever cool? He was always the guy trying to be cool.
I think if you win, no one cares.
We know he loves Jesus, right? He always, that, but
yeah, when you win, no one cares. But when you start losing, things come out, right? And I think that's kind of what's going on here.
That's true. Yeah, and this is in Jacksonville's home turf, so over in London. So yeah, I think that could be a factor. Actually, Jacksonville has done this before. They know how to play over there.
Right. They're moving there someday.
I don't know. That's the rumor. That's the idea, right? So it's obviously Jacksonville has an advantage there. They know how to do this time change, how to play. Maybe not all the individual players, but the organization as a whole has done this before. And the Broncos, I mean, first of all, yes, we've heard the plain talk and now the chemistry talk and the questions around Russell Wilson, but the Broncos, they're at their lowest of low points right now. They've fallen off the map in terms of expectations. Their offense is a joke at this point. Right. I mean, yes, you lost your star running back, but you brought in Russell Wilson and paid him $50 million, and Drew Lock can do better at this point, right? So it's bad. Yikes. It's really bad. And it's Russell Wilson himself. There's no excuses to be made there. He should be doing better. The receivers, although they've dropped a few passes, they have really good receivers, and it's inexplicable at this point. So there's some hope that, the Broncos only have up to go because they've hit rock bottom at this point. Yeah, but you're 2-5. You're 2-5 in that very competitive division in the very competitive AFC. At some point, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, we're not competing for anything right now. So what do we do about it? Are we selling pieces the way rumors have been flying they are? Or are we, turning this thing around and finding a way to compete? And the only way they do that is this is an inferior Jacksonville team to the Broncos. Coming into the season, on paper, the rosters they have right now, we know how that they're playing. The Broncos are playing, and it's not great. But most people would say, 99% would say, the Broncos are the better team. They should win this game. And here they are now, the underdog on a neutral turf, because they have no momentum and they're just confused. A lot of that falls on the head coach to me. I don't think Hackett has long. I was on the record when he was hired that I thought it was a bad hire. And this is a game where that Jacksonville team that's been up and down this year, I think, can capitalize and play well. They're going to have to, because Denver's defense has done well.
Right. Denver, their offense is really struggling big time. 5 passing touchdowns on the year. They're tied with Pittsburgh and Chicago for last in the league. All 3 of those teams have had their bye week. Let's see. What else we got here? Scoring offense, they are dead last in the league. 14.3 points per game. Let's do overall points, see where they're at.
Yeah, because I mean,
Dead last with 100.
Yeah.
100. Just cracked 100. Just behind the Rams, which is kind of surprising. Rams had a bye week. Rams had a bye week. Dead last in red zone percentage.
Yep.
Dead last in the league.
Glad I have the kicker on my fantasy team. But...
Okay, drive averages, score percentage, one I like. 29th. They're ahead of Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Washington.
And those are reflective of exactly where the feeling is on that team, right? I think if we looked up the stats on Jacksonville, it won't be as interesting because they've had games where they look great and games where they look terrible.
I think they're middle of the road.
It's going to be somewhere mediocre. Yeah, right. It's not going to be as reflective of where.
Scoring percentage, let's see. Yeah, they're pretty middle of the road.
Right, right.
14th.
Both teams are 2-5, but there's no question that Jacksonville is the better team playing wise. They're playing better. They have the better momentum. They're trending more in the right direction, even though they've been up and down than the Broncos have.
Yeah, Jacksonville's 7th in the league in rushing yards. So yeah, Jacksonville, they're just kind of figuring out their identity.
We need to see more from Trevor Lawrence.
They're better than last year on offense.
Yeah.
Their defense is pretty good, but I think they're better overall than last year. They're much They have a much better coach. That shows, and I think they're going to win some games. Yeah, they're 2-5 now, but I think they'll end up with 6 or 7 wins. What do you think?
Jacksonville? I mean, that's about where I had them in the preseason. Yes, I do think that's where they stand. They're just not good enough to compete, and they have to be more consistent, right? We've seen flashes of it, but they have to learn to be more consistent, and that's typical of a rebuilding team, right? You got to learn how to be consistent. You got to make the mistakes to learn from them and then not make them ever again, right? And I think that they're at least going in the right direction. I've been happy with a lot of what I've seen from Jacksonville. If you're a realist in the organization and you're not a fan saying we're going to go to the Super Bowl, right? So, I think in this game, this is their opportunity to do that again, to continue beating up on a team that has not been playing very well. We need to see more from Trevor Lawrence. That run game in Jacksonville is dynamic, even though they traded James Robinson to the Jets. Travis Etienne now going to be taking the lead, but I forget the other running back's name who emerged as well and had a big run in last game or 2 games ago.
To the Jets, which is will be interesting to pay attention to.
And other trade rumors in Jacksonville as well. Again, as you're a rebuilding team, if you have pieces people want and you can acquire talent, you're going to do it. Right.
And everyone checks in on everybody, right?
Josh Allen trade rumors.
Oh God, yeah, I saw that notification. Almost passed out for a minute.
Josh Allen trade. What?
Yeah, the headline is Josh Allen trade buzz. And the fine print was Josh Allen from the Jaguars. Right. So that had me just for a split second. You're like, never mind. But yeah,
definitely interesting.
That would have been destroy the house mode. Anyway, I'm taking Jacksonville, taking the over in this game, 39.5. I'm sure you're doing the same.
I'm taking Jacksonville, but I'm taking the under.
Under.
Yeah, mainly because how many points do you think the Broncos are going to score? 10 would break their record of the last couple of games, right?
Yeah,
and Jacksonville, I mean, they're not exactly a high-scoring offense either. So
25-17, something like that.
Okay. I'm more at like 17-10 probably.
Yeah. Okay, but I think Jacksonville can score.
Yeah.
All right, next one here. Battle of Pennsylvania, right? We have the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 10.5 at the Philadelphia Eagles. This line is just too big, in my opinion. But that's what happens when you're an undefeated team, right? You get everything's inflated. You're the best team in the league, all this stuff.
Right.
The
line is definitely why this team was not in my pick 6, right? Because I was like, 10.5. That's just at the scary point for me. I think they could win by 10. The Steelers have been playing better of late, right? They pulled off a win. They were competitive in the last couple. Philly is the best team in the NFC. They're playing an AFC team that is one of the worst teams in the AFC, right? And struggling still to find their true identity, I think. I like Philly to win this game. I'm picking Philly. To win by more than 10.5. Philly, again, coming off a bye week. They've had time to prepare for the Steelers. The Steelers are not a very good team on offense. They do have defense components, but the Eagles can run the ball, can pass the ball.
Do it all.
They know how to attack you. I think the Eagles put up big points in this game because they do those things and they do them well, and they're coming off a bye. They're undefeated for a reason. Pittsburgh could hang, but I still feel pretty confident about the Eagles winning by more than 10.5.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I'm not so confident. I'm taking Pittsburgh with the points, Eagles to win, 20-10, something like that, 20-10, right?
20 would be low for the Eagles, right? That would.
Yeah, I think so. But like you said, the Pittsburgh Steelers play good
They
defense.
do.
Like
They
they're
do.
well coached, and
That's
it's a
legit.
next door neighbor rival, right?
There you go.
Yeah, that's enough storyline for me. Really, just if they don't turn the ball over, I think we'll see the 20-10 type score.
Yeah.
If Kenny
I don't
Pickett
know.
starts throwing turnovers, it could get out of control quick. But I'm gonna bet that it's just gonna be don't do a lot for Kenny Pickett. Just check the ball down, hand it off to Najee Harris. Let's get him going. I've been saying that for weeks, but he still haven't done it. But anyway, under and taking the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm taking the under as well, but I'm taking Philly
Yep.
both ways,
Philly
win
7-0,
and minus
7-0.
10.5. Yeah.
We're gonna give it to him already. All right, talked about that. Let's get on to Patriots -3 at the 5-2 New York Jets. Mac Jones gets benched last week.
Oh, tell me you didn't just smile at that, right? My favorite was the meme of the meme of I don't know if you have seen the meme of where one guy's beating up the other and somebody's in the background taking the picture. So the one guy doing the punching was the Bears, the one getting beat up was New England, and Buffalo was over there taking the picture. And I'm like, yes, that is accurate right now. The Bills fans are watching this and going, this is beautiful. I love to see this. This is wonderful. Chaos in New England. Terrible play. I mean, it was fun to watch.
Bears were prepared. Sure. Bears played them.
They
tough.
were. They played very well.
And
they look like a good team. Like a legitimate good team. So
that happens in the league.
It does. And New England is a very good team at bouncing back from situations like that. We do know that about Bill Belichick and this team.
And that's why I'm taking New England because of that, right? I don't think they lose 2 games in a row too often. It's happened a lot more recently, but especially a division rival. I think Bill will have his guys ready. The Jets, though, I don't
defensive line for the Jets cannot be underrated, right? New England wants to run the ball. We know that. And their defense has been.
I need to see more from Zach Wilson to put the Jets in that category of they're a good team, right?
Agreed.
I think Breece Hall going out is going to set them back a little bit. Yeah, we got James Robinson coming in, who's a phenomenal player, but it takes a little while to adjust, right? New playbook, new everything, right? You're going from Florida to New York, different culture, different players. It takes a little while to adjust. So I'm going New England for those reasons.
I picked New England last week and they lost, right? This week, my real pick is the Jets, but I'm going to go ahead and say on record I'm picking New England just so they lose again because that's just fun to watch. So I am picking the Jets minus or +3 in this game. I think the Jets will win. And New England, their uncertainty at quarterback. I don't discredit Mac Jones, although Zappe came in and made plays. And I said that. I gave him credit for that when he was the starter, but also when he came in last week, he showed it again a little bit. And I don't think it's on the shoulders of Mac Jones why they're not playing as well. They're a run first team. They're a run first, second, and third team, really. And they don't really pass much. The receivers aren't doing much. The Jets, defense, right? That defensive line is incredible. Sauce Gardner is probably he has to be in contention for defensive rookie of the year.
Sure.
Every time I've seen him play, he looks amazing. Like he's legitimate for being a top pick.
Well, he's going to have to tackle in this game because New England doesn't throw the ball down the field.
I know.
Much.
So they don't. So exactly. Right. So I think that defensive line, though, I'm going to give them credit and say that they are going to make that run game a little more uncomfortable than it usually is. The Jets, obviously, that losing Breece Hall is a big loss for them and could be a setback, but that's why they traded for a James Robinson, and they have other pieces there. And I do think Zach Wilson does need to get it going a little bit more. And this is the type of game that could light the fire under you because it's going to go back and forth. I don't think one team starts to run away in this game by any means. And if the Jets really want to compete, this is the game that they have to make a statement against your division rival, New England Patriots, where you are now basically replacing them in the standings, right? You're saying where New England was, that's where we are now.
Right. You got to shove New England down if you want to be anything in this division, right?
Right.
Because, New England's tricky. They'll sneak in there somehow, I feel
Mhm.
like. So that's what we've seen last year. They're stuck into the playoffs last year.
And I'm going the under on this game. I just don't think either team has been
Yep.
lighting the scoreboard
I
up
went
by any
under
means.
as well.
Running first, good defense on both sides. Yeah, under.
All right. Next one here, Raiders -1 at the Saints. Over under set at 49.5.
Ugh.
Saints lead the league in turnovers.
Ugh.
Last time we saw them, 2 pick sixes before the half.
Hmm.
With the quarterback who's not supposed to turn the ball over. And then how about Josh Jacobs, right? If you go back and listen to our prediction shows, divisional predictions on the year, I said the person who's going to benefit most from Josh McDaniels is Josh Jacobs, right? And he's been phenomenal in this system, right? He's doing it all. Pass, run, touchdowns, carrying the offense, right? I think that's huge for them. Starting to figure it out. I like the Raiders. I'm picking them in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking the over on 49.5.
You know, I don't think the Raiders are a good team. And even though they can score points on offense and they're doing, like you said, I agree, Josh Jacobs is having a hell of a season and playing well in that offense. New Orleans has a good defense and not excellent, not amazing, not top 5, but they're a good defense. And I think they can hang. They can hang with the Raiders. But the problem that I have here is I originally picked the Saints to win this game and to therefore with the point, right? Like this is basically a pick 'em. But the problem is their injuries are continuing to battle up, right? We're not sure who's going to play quarterback. Okay, Jameis is back. Let's say Jameis plays. That's great. Now, Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas have still not practiced. It's Thursday. They still have not practiced. That tells me they're not going to play in the game, basically. So you're without your 2 big wide receivers there. And Olave, although he's been playing great, is tough to shoulder the entire load of the pass game. You still have a dynamic run game as well with Alvin Kamara. I really want. I'm sticking to my Saints pick. I don't think this is one I would bet a lot of money on.
We do this every week.
I would definitely check with the injury report beforehand. But it's tough. Yeah, it's a tough game, and
every week I got to remind you, the Saints are 3rd most penalties, and they lead the league in turnovers.
Bad.
7 fumbles lost, 9 interceptions.
But that's got to come back to center at some point, right? Come back to reality.
Every week, I don't pick the Saints, and you do, and we have the same conversations. Who's the quarterback? Well, it should be. I said it should be Andy Dalton because he doesn't turn the ball over.
Because
and it should be Jameis Winston because he gives them a chance. Well, guess what? Both quarterbacks turn the ball over, and both quarterbacks don't give them a chance. So I'm going Raiders this week.
All right. I'm going to stick to my Saints pick. It would probably be on the lowest confidence of my picks of the week right now.
Fair.
But I'm sticking with the Saints.
Fair. All right. You're
and
on
the over as well. Over as well, because it's definitely going to be a high scoring affair.
Yeah. I just think the Raiders are starting to click. Anyway, let's get on to the Bears here, +9.5 at Dallas. Another huge line this week. This is the third one that's kind of
big lines are coming, and we've had a couple during the year, but this one surprised me more than the others, right? The others were because both of those teams are the best teams in their respective division or their respective AFC and NFC, right? Now, this game, the Bears just came off a huge win. They looked really good. They had a great game plan, and you're giving them 9.5 points. Dallas, they have their pieces back. They're playing well. I expect them to win this game. They're the better team. But 9.5 just seems like it's disrespecting what Chicago has been able to do really on the entire season. It's not like they're getting blown out week after week after week. And, last week was a fluke.
Right.
Last week, they finally put it together on offense to match what their defense has done. And then, we're put away the opponent. So while I don't expect the Bears to win, I agree that this 9.5 is probably the line that stood out to me the most is, whoa, that's disrespectful. Like, what happened there? Like, I think the line should be closer to 6 because then it makes you think, will Dallas win by a touchdown?
Right.
Will they, or will it be a closer game? And I do expect Chicago to be able to put something together in this game.
Let's not forget, Chicago's an inch away from being 500 right now.
Right.
Or
they're still
4-3.
Right, winning
having a winning
yeah.
record, right? So, I mean, Mooney caught the ball but just didn't reach it over in time or
It's so
whatever.
close.
God, it was
Yeah.
the closest as it could have been, right? So, I mean, you could look at Chicago as a 4-3 team or a 3-4 team, whatever you prefer at this point. So the line is disrespectful. I agree with you there, but I think Robert Quinn getting traded this week to Philadelphia,
That's
Roquan
that's a
Smith
momentum killer.
crying at the podium.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's big.
I do think Chicago's figuring it out, right? Their coach deserves a lot of credit for willing this team to where they are. However, I just think Dallas is too good on offense.
Mhm.
I think they're going to score a lot of points, and Chicago's not designed that way to go shot for shot on offense, right? So I'm taking Dallas. This game could be close, but I think Dallas pulls out in the end, and they get the spread.
Dallas minus 9.5. Okay, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this is another one that I'm not. I mean, I still think that 9.5 is too big of a number for how Chicago has been playing, even with the momentum killer of trading, one of your best players on defense. Dallas, I've preached about it. Their defense is attack, right? And that does make them vulnerable occasionally to big plays, especially in the run game. And what does Chicago like to do? Run. And what is Dallas really good at? Hitting the quarterback, getting to the quarterback, rushing the quarterback. Granted, they're also good at playing defense in general. They can play the run as well, but it's certainly more of a weakness for them. So I expect that to happen in this game. I expect, the Bears to have 3 people running the ball, both of the running backs and Fields himself. So yeah, I think this could be it. Yeah, this could be the game where Chicago upsets Dallas, right? It's going to be closer than people are predicting it to be. But I still am picking Dallas to win in my official picks. But I have this game closer to like 23-20 or 24-21, something like that. So I'm taking the over as well. But closer game than the 9.5 gives respect to.
All right. It's got a couple left here. We got 1, 2, 3 left. Carolina +4 at Atlanta. For me, this is a must-win for Atlanta. You got to get a lead on the division while you can. This is a game that you're supposed to win. You got to win these type of games. If you're going to be in that conversation that you're going to compete with Tampa Bay for the division, which you are, you're there. Run with it. Have that efficient offense that we've seen. I'm not sure if Cordell Patterson has a chance to come back this season or not. I think his injury is pretty significant, so he may or may not be back. But if he does come back, that's going to be huge for them. But a nice young core of players here in Atlanta. I think they have an opportunity to run with this one. Carolina, on the other hand, big upset last week. PJ Walker at the helm, new coach Steve Wilkes, who I feel like didn't get a fair shot in Arizona. I think he's a better coach than maybe his record or reputation says. So he's coaching for the job, right? So that's really the storylines on this one. I'm taking Atlanta because I just think the opportunity is there for them, and they're aware of that, right? No more foosball in the locker room, stuff like that, right?
So, yeah, right. No Rex Ryan stuff going on there, right?
Yeah.
I do think
I'm also taking the under on that.
I agree with you that this is a game where you if you're the Falcons, you're saying, please, we got to put ourselves on the map again, right? And this is the way to do it. I think this is the first game all year where they're the favorites by 4 points, right? So they're the favorites, and they're like, oh man, we're supposed to win this game. So for good reason, right? Carolina, although they had a great game last week and found a way to win, they're in total rebuild mode. Like, fired the coach, traded their best players.
Probably trade somebody before.
Other players, right? Probably before Sunday, as soon as this broadcast is over.
Traded.
Yeah, right. It's incredible that they were able to pull off the win given that situation. And Atlanta has all of the momentum. They're playing very good football. Really, all season they've played well. It's just been one close call after the other for the losses that they've had. And this is a team where you're better than them. You should be able to put them away. And I think that will be the case. By the way, Cordero Patterson posted a video on his social media. I think it was last week, of him running pretty much back at full speed, or what looked like full speed.
That's huge for them. If he can come
back. Hopefully he can come back. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. another divisional matchup. The 49ers -1.5 at the LA Rams. Rams coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
I think their bye week was last week. But anyway, both teams, pretty much 500. San Francisco 3-4, Rams 3-3. Rams are atop of the division right now, right? 3-3.
I don't know.
Seattle.
Are they?
I have it up here. Let's check it out because Seattle's right in that conversation. It's almost like any of these teams can win the division. Any of these teams can win this division, right? Seattle 4-3.
I
Rams
lost you there for a second.
I'll just say in the NFC West, all these teams are, a game away from being
competitive.
Top of the division.
Yes, right. With losing records, most of them, right? So the Rams at 3-3 might be
Seattle 4-3, Rams 3-3 are second. 49ers
right, that's what
Cardinals.
I thought. Okay, that makes more sense.
At the bottom, right? So it's neck and neck for all these teams. So this is probably the most fun division right now, no doubt about it.
Yes, and we've talked about San Francisco dealing with injuries, and looking terrible in a few games and looking great in others. The Rams, however, have looked worse, right? Their porous offensive line has put them in a really bad situation. The Cam Akers situation, what's going on there? And it's. Did I lose you again, Eric?
No, I'm here. Are you there?
Eric, did I lose you?
No, I'm right here.
Oh, I got you back. Okay.
Yeah, you can hear me. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. I did I freeze?
No.
I lost you for the second time there. So I'm not sure what's going on with the connection here, but we're working through
pay your bill.
difficulties, right? Something. Although if mine didn't freeze, I don't know what happened here. So yes, where was I? I don't even remember what I was saying. But the Rams are, even though they had a bye week and time to prepare, this is always a tough matchup for them. They consistently lose to San Francisco. San Francisco bringing in Christian McCaffrey is the big difference for me. So that, for me, is why I'm picking San Francisco in this one, even though the Rams are coming off the bye. They looked terrible before the bye in the last two games. Really, really bad. The quarterback.
Well, I'll say it. Rams have a quarterback problem right now.
Yeah. Yeah, they have an offensive line problem too. So
sure, but
it's looks bad.
Fourth in the league in turnovers.
That's not good. Oh man,
there are 8 interceptions. There's a 4-way tie for first place in interceptions on the season, and that's the Saints, Colts, Patriots, Steelers. Rams are next. What else we got here? Fumbles lost hasn't been good for them. That's called bad luck. 13th with 5. But anyway, yeah, it's they got to stop the bleeding on the turnovers. Struggling to find a running game, and when you turn the ball over, it's just nothing's good, right? But I mean, everyone's kind of wondering: are they gonna flip the script here?
Yeah, this is a game that they would need to do it, right? This division rival, it would put you in first place in the division. I was assuming Seattle lost, and with again against your hated rival in the division, and the team that's going to probably have the best competition to beat you for the division.
For sure.
Yeah, or even a wild card spot if it comes to it. Say Seattle ends up winning the division. Whoever wins this game is probably going to be the wild card in this division, right? So, yeah, there's a lot on the line. I just don't know. The Rams are getting Van Jefferson back, right? There's a storyline for you, I guess, right? So there's something there. But a third wide receiver, at least he was on the depth chart at that point.
Right.
Is he going to be the difference maker versus bringing in a Christian McCaffrey, who is a stud? And, we have to see what he can do in this offensive scheme, but it's built for the run game, right? That's what they do. And the more you take away from Jimmy Garoppolo, the more likely you are to win and be able to use the other weapons you have, like Deebo Samuel. And your defense, although it is dinged up, just kind of has to tread water in this game where, again, I think their defensive line is going to attack that weak offensive line and probably put up a pretty good win here.
Yeah, I like the 49ers taking the under on 43. All right, last one, Monday night. Who you taking? Cincinnati at Cleveland. We'll touch on this again on our Touchback Tuesday show. So that's actually Monday night at 7:30. Be sure to tune in with us for all the reactions, and we'll get you ready for the Monday night game. But what's your initial thoughts on this game?
Division rivals. I expect this game to be close. I think the -3 is a good line for this game because, the Bengals have been giving up points almost as much as they've been scoring them. The Browns have a good defense, even though, they're banged up as well. But always this divisional matchup is going to be a close game. You just know that, especially in the NFC North, where any team could really pull it off, although the Steelers have been more in last place. So
any chance for Cleveland?
If they give the ball to Nick Chubb 1,000 times, 90% of the offense, then yes, right? But they don't. So I think that's why I picked the Bengals just to win overall, and I think they will win by more than 3, maybe like a 24-20 or somewhere in that range. And I'm taking the over in this game because I think the Bengals, being a high-flying scoring team, is going to put Cleveland in a situation where they have to hang with them and give up and score some points. And Amari Cooper, I still expect that the Browns' offensive weapons can score. It's just going to be a matter of, completely hanging with the Bengals, and I don't think they can.
All right, yeah, I like Cincinnati, and I'm taking the over on 45. But
I hope it's a good game to watch. I hope it's a good game to watch because it's on Monday night, and it should be competitive because it's a division game.
Right. It's actually a good matchup on paper. Hopefully they don't come out and it's 10-0 or something.
Yeah, right. Stinker of a game.
All right, that's all we got for you. Thanks for tuning in. Now doing 2 shows a week, both live now.
Let's do
Monday evening, 7:30 Eastern. Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. Right before both games, we'll get you ready for the week. Also, get you all the reactions you need for post Sunday after all the action happens. When's the trade deadline?
Tuesday.
So
right, November 1st.
Yeah,
so,
we'll have a lot to talk about on Monday as we record our Tuesday show.
Should be a lot of action. It might be happening during the show again. Last week, we did
James
have
Robinson
that.
got traded during the show last time. So, yeah, this is a fun time of year, right? We get into playoffs here in the next couple weeks, and our team's right in it, so it's a lot of fun. But thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and toss your hat in the ring.